Well, our side of the country is absolutely covered in a winter storm, but that hasn't stopped our Mountaineers from getting it in the workout side of things. And there are some guys that are standing out early, Kevin Brown being one of them. Let's talk about our young Mountaineers and how they're doing.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I'm your host here. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking Mountaineer football tonight, guys. And look, it's a tough time to be alive right now if you're in this part of the country. If you have electricity, like I do, you're grateful. If you don't, like some don't, you pray that they get theirs on quickly, and all that. So this one's going to be brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. And right now with FanDuel, y'all, if you want right now, it's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, you can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. We'd love to thank you for making us your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team and the Mountaineers every single day. So, yeah, obviously tough times outside right now for a lot of the country. Really hoping you guys are okay wherever you're at. We didn't get near as much as we were expected to get, at least yet. I was expecting to be totally just covered. Now we're like thinking about 3 to 6 inches. So that's like a normal snowfall. It's a little above average, but yeah. So it's not the 12 to 18 that I initially heard. I was like, oh God, 12 to 18. That's significant. So anyways, I think hopefully everybody's doing okay. Love to see you guys in here, and let's dive into this. West Virginia released some stuff earlier today about workout warriors. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the depth chart as well. Now that we have the roster pretty well set, except maybe one or two more, let's talk about the depth chart. And is there anybody that I believe that should be raised up that list any more than they are? Because we have a bunch of new players, and I think there are people that have certain people kind of locked into spaces that maybe I'm not so keen on. So we'll definitely go there as well. So that's the show. Not a whole lot else to talk about, y'all. Definitely don't want to talk basketball right now, although there are some big visitors coming in. That news hasn't been released publicly yet, so I don't want to spoil it. So, but there are some big ones coming in here in the next coming week or two, I was told earlier today. So we'll see about that too. I just didn't want to. I would have done a video on it, but it's not my news to release. So we'll see what happens on that. All right. So I think when I think of, about the class West Virginia brought in, who are some guys that we really need to hit on, right? Well, at least two of those guys won Workout Warrior of the Week this week, which is an award West Virginia gives out, weekly, and will do so throughout the winter workouts, and I think they even do it during summer workouts as well. So, it's not something that you want to put too much stock into, right? I totally understand that. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you guys that this is something that you should just be so excited about, but I have a few opinions, and I think there's a reason two of these guys specifically, and listen, I mean, obviously, let's just name who they are so we can stop saying two of these guys. It's Tyler Stolsky, the linebacker that just transferred in. It's Geimere Latimer, who was with him at Jacksonville State, very much knows the drill. Coming in from Wisconsin, he won one, and then obviously Kevin Brown. And, it's not like those guys need confidence. Those are all, upper tier level transfers that you got. And then obviously your top high school player. So, I always look for like, why would they give somebody that? Or, well, it's because they're setting a standard, right? And I think it's a big deal that Kevin Brown is a part of the very first group of guys to get that award. It does say a lot. So here's what I'll say about it. Because obviously we all love Kevin and think he's going to be just an incredible player for West Virginia this year. And obviously we know his dad and everything played for West Virginia and all that. Um, I think when you're looking at what this meant as far as from what does him getting this award mean? It's not something that I'm saying we should go raise a barn over, but I do think it means that he's kind of announcing himself, right? He's announcing himself as somebody to be not to be messed with early on. And that's a big deal, because you can't really, at least in my opinion, put a whole lot of stock into the world award itself by itself. But this is the first time they've released it. So I always feel like the first one's a big deal, right? Or at least a bigger deal. It's the first group of guys that are going to get it. Everybody wants it. They do. And I think, once again, Kevin Brown showing up like he has here, not a shock. This is a guy that you have to expect will be factored into not just the rotation, but probably the starting rotation, if not the starter. And I think at his position. So, you look at what he did and what he could do in high school, and it's incredible. And he's probably going to be an early contributor / starter for West Virginia. He could compete for starter reps by midseason or week one if he really keeps on this track. His quick feet and the ability to climb to second level is second to none from anybody you're going to find in his class, in his entire class of any offensive lineman. He was the number 3 rated guy for a reason, and he's going to be an instant difference maker in the run game, especially, I think. And if he continues to add weight and develop his technique, he's going to be a multi-year starter and future pro. I do believe that about him. And I think we're going to be looking at him as somebody that's like a once in a lifetime kind of player, much like some of the guys we had a couple years ago. So really high upside guy here, really great potential to grow into a cornerstone. And I'm excited about it. I don't know about you guys, but I think this is a big deal. I like the fact that, he's leading the way, especially for the freshman class early on. So really great to see, and not just him, right? He's just the highest profile one, maybe. We've also got Geimere Latimer in there, right? Who is probably going to be the starting corner. And I thought that was a big deal too, because, he's a guy that is probably going to become a consistent starter or slot corner. I'm assuming he'll probably be a starter at outside corner or slot corner, one of the two. Because he's a guy that can really, really play football. He's just a football player. And I mean, obviously he's going to be this on the field early as part of a 3-corner mix. And I love this. He's going to be getting snaps at nickel too, I'm sure. And they're going to use him a bunch of different ways. I really like him a lot. I think Latimer, his presence helps the corner room a lot. He's not just roster fodder, if you will. He's the kind of guy that is going to impact the roster. And the thing is he doesn't have to get adjusted to the scheme, right? So that's a big deal for him. And then obviously Stolsky is, he looks like he would win a Workout Warrior of the Week award, right? So, he's a D1 bounce back. Well, he's a Power 4 bounce back. Let me say that, not D1 bounce back, because he went to FIU. He went from Minnesota to Florida Atlantic, where he had 86 tackles and all the production he had there last year. And I could definitely see him starting right in the middle of our defense at Mike, or being a heavy rotational player there too. So these are all 3 guys going to be, I think, heavy contributors. Like when you look at I think the best case scenario for each, you're looking at Kevin Brown as your week 1 starter, Geimere Latimer is your full-time starting quarterback, and Stolsky, one of your 2 or 3 leading tacklers, right? So, it's going to be great to see. I think that, all three of these guys were definitely, uh, in my opinion, anyways, higher end guys that we brought in. Obviously, two of those guys are portal guys, but one of those guys is somebody they really know. Kevin Brown's somebody they really, really love, obviously. And Stolsky must be a guy that they're high on as well to give him this award first. Because I think that's something, I don't know. Does anybody else think I'm overplaying it? I think that the fact that they got it first is a little nod. It's like, because it means something to get it first. If you get it second and beyond now, it's a little bit lessened. But I think to get it first says, hey, these guys are setting the standard right now. So good congratulations to them. I think that's a big deal. And let's go ahead and go on to the depth chart portion of this here now, because I think I want to talk about it. I've got opinions all up and down it, so we might as well get to it. I'm going to be using a 247 article that I found. They have a depth chart that they have. I'll give you let me make sure who's wrote it, because I don't know. Let me make sure. Let's see. Make sure I get that right really quick. It's from 2 days ago. It's from Andrew Corbett. So what I'll be doing is I'll be, based on whatever he believes, I'll be going up and down and switching some guys for sure. All right, let's go to break, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys, this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. And right now with FanDuel, you know it, I know it. It's a time to be alive for them, because the last call for football on FanDuel is one final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is going to be Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making you're right there in the middle of it all, because you want to be, right? It's a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year, whether you're talking, your favorite, whether you're riding with the underdog, or you want to build one last same game parlay. This is the game everybody's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, you can bet just $5 and get 200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel and official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, we here in segment 2, where this is from sitting outside on the porch, the cold dew. Yeah, boy. I think the depth chart is an interesting conversation right now, because there's just been there's been so many guys come in this year and so many leave. It's like kind of worried about the upcoming season in some ways. In some ways, I'm not. I mean, can you imagine had we had the schedule we have this year, the year we were supposed to be really good under Garrett Green and everybody? We probably would have won 9 games again. Neil Brown would still be the coach. I don't know. I mean, it is the schedule does have difficulties on it, but this team, if they can gel together in the first 2 games, which, I mean, who knows if they can? Who knows? I mean, Coastal Carolina could come out and put one on us in the first game. I highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. But, UT Martin Coastal, you get some snaps in. Obviously, you're not going to be tested. Then you're going straight to Virginia. So you want to have your depth chart right. And in this one, I think you're looking at it. And so this is from Andrew Corbett. This is how he has his depth chart. At quarterback, he's got Hawkins, Scotty Fox, Jaron Hughley, John Johnson, Max Brown, and Wyatt Walker Brown. I think it's that's like your traditional all chalk if you're going to talk like You know how like if you're picking your bracket and all four number one seeds make it to the tournament, that's this version of that. Like to me, I think there's going to be a couple upsets on this list. And at the top, Scotty Fox Jr. and and Hawkins are going to battle it out for sure. And it's going to be a, I think it's definitely a 50-50 kind of battle there. So, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are interesting. But I will go. I think Wyatt Brown. I swear, guys. I know I'm just a big Wyatt Walker Brown guy, but I think he's at least going to be fourth string. Um, you know, I could see Max Brown being third string because of experience. Um, and I'll put Jaron Hughley at fifth and John Johnson at sixth for now, just because Wyatt Walker is the best thrower of all those guys, of all of them, except maybe Max Brown. And Wyatt Walker is also as fast, if not faster, than all those guys, including John Johnson. Go watch his tape. He can absolutely fly. So I don't see what and he's the bigger of them all, right? So and he's putting in work with a real quarterback, NFL quarterbacks coach right now. And I don't want to make this all about him, but I'm just saying, let's just see where Wyatt Walker Brown turns out. He's the least popular as far as how well known he is. Fans all have no idea who he is for the most part. And there's fans out there that have never heard his name before, but I do think that'll change at some point. And I love Wyatt Walker Brown. So if you haven't had a chance to go watch him, I should have brought tape because I knew I would do this, but he's a guy that can really run at 4.4 ish level. He's right there with like Hughley and Johnson on that. So, and he can throw it at a very, very high clip too. So he just needs the offense and the reps. That's the thing about him that I'm not 100% sure on as far as, people I talk to about him that are very confident about him. I don't know if it's just there's a jump and there's going to be a lot of reps he has to do. But as far as the number one spot for quarterback, I still say Scotty has the edge. I'll put Scotty in first place until we get some news out of camp that he's maybe losing the battle, or maybe we probably won't hear very much. But you got to give Scotty the incumbent with the system the edge. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that Hawkins is better or worse either. I could take either one. Like it's good news either way, whoever wins it. But that's my opinion on quarterback. It's obviously you're going to talk about that one the most, but I just think Scotty is probably at this point, until I see more out of Michael, a little better thrower of the ball. And then obviously Hawkins destroys him running the ball. But Scotty can run it. You go watch his. If you go to YouTube and type in Scotty Fox highlights, there's one that pops up right away, and it's a couple minutes long. It shows all his best runs. He's got several really nice runs, especially one against BYU, where you really get to see some of his speed. Because I think last year a lot of his running plays were hesitant. He wasn't sure what to do yet, and when he hit the hole against BYU, he was hungry. You could tell. And man, he really took off. He bit him for 40, like boom, like that. So I think once Scotty gets confident as a runner, I think it's going to change him a little bit. All right, moving on to running back. Oh my God, I have no clue who we're going to pick here. Obviously, Cam Cook is the starter running back. We know that, but goodness gracious. Beyond that, it's going to be tough to figure out. Obviously I have personally, not for me as much, because I think Amari Latimer is the number 2 guy, but I think I have Martavis Boswell at number 3. He's got Christopher Talley at number 3. He's got Latimer at 2 and Cook at 1. I would have Boswell at 3. I think he can do more. He's faster. Talley's very talented, no doubt, but Boswell's got experience at JUCO. Um, Boswell is, I mean, he ran a 10 flat 100 meters. He's got it on his in it. If you go on Martavius Boswell's X profile, just type in Martavius Boswell, Martavious Boswell. If you type that in, he'll pop up, or if you search my followers and he's there. He runs 100 meters in 10 seconds flat. And when you watch him on the football field, that definitely shows it. And he's 5'10", 170. He's like Steve Slayton kind of clone almost. He's very similar to Steve in some ways. But anyways, check him out. Lawrence Autry, I have to go watch. I still haven't watched his film yet. I watched a couple runs of his, and I wasn't very impressed. But I've learned, sometimes the angle in which you see somebody can matter, and there's just a bunch of different stuff. So I need to give him more time before I make a judgment. But I'm not going to put him above Sir Paul Cheeks. But I think you have to put Sir Paul Cheeks at the bottom for now, just until he gets healthy. If he was healthy, you could have the conversation for him up at number 3, even, or 4. So I don't know. Some people might even have him at number 2. Sir Paul Cheeks is definitely that talented. Jesus in cleats. What a name. The only fullback on the roster is going to be Caden Luke, I think. So I'll have to agree with him there. But you're talking about out wide here. He's got Teron Francis, Prince Strachan, Landon Drum, Malachi Thompson, Charlie Hannafin. It's kind of hard to argue with that. I would say Prince Strachan got a chance there. 6'5", 215. He's got a shot. He's obviously been productive in college before. But if West Virginia's offense is going to be – I wouldn't be surprised to see Strachan start the year and then perhaps lose it as time goes on this year to a guy like Teron Francis, who is obviously clearly really talented. I just don't know what's going to happen there, right? So beyond that, it's tough. Landon Drum is a good player out of Alaska. Malachi Thompson, very talented as well, out of Nitro, West Virginia. I'll probably place him at 3. And Hannafin is another. They're all pretty good. I don't have a problem with any of the receivers out wide. If you're talking about flanker, you got to start with Jaden Bray, right? If Jaden Bray's 100% healthy, it changes our receiving room a lot. We really need him to just finally please be healthy. That's all. We're not asking for much, right? And I understand that you can't control what your body does. And I'm not saying this to Jaden necessarily. I'm saying it to the universe, please be healthy, because he is so talented and so good, and we just haven't been able to show it. It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. He's NFL talented, and now here he is a senior and hasn't done anything he's in a very similar spot to Jaheim White. The last time he did anything was when he was young, like a sophomore or freshman. He started out last year on fire, our best receiver, and then he hurt his foot again, same foot. Sometimes people have foot problems in life. Greg Harden was the one I think we were talking about the last time, or Greg Oden, and from obviously the first overall pick from Ohio State, who just never ever, if you're of a certain age, 35 or 40 or older, you will know who that is. Maybe a little younger would know, but yeah. So he was going to be a lot of people said Bill Russell type player, and it just never materialized because he had feet issues, and so yeah, we'll see what happens with him. I really hope his feet end up being in good shape, because it sucked, man. I feel bad for him. John Nider is a pretty good replacement. It's just, is it too much for him, right? Is it too much too fast? Because he's made the jump from walk-on to contributor now at UConn. Now you're asking him to come up and play Big 12 corners. We'll see. He could end up being really good. I like his tape a lot. I think he's got talent. It's, he's just we've seen walk-ons do this before. So it's not like it's impossible to happen, but he's no longer a walk-on at this point, right? He's proven himself, but to have him at number 2 is, I don't disagree with it. It's just DJ Epps is very talented, and I like him a lot. I do. Also, Keon Hutchins, to have him at 4 feels wrong to me. Cyrus Traw at 5 also feels kind of wrong to me. I don't know. I just have a feeling Cyrus Traw is going to be up around 3. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Cyrus Straw's got a year in the system. I know he can run routes. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. If he's not getting on the field this year, it's for some other reason than he can't catch. I know he can catch the ball. He's a West Virginia kid as well. And he's got the work ethic. Watch out for Cyrus Traw this year, somebody that can move up and make a difference, because I do think he's got the potential to do so. In the slot is where it gets really interesting for me. You got Amoni Weaver, who made some plays last year. He's really small, 5'9", 167. He's a redshirt freshman now. Kedrick Triplett, who's coming in as the number 1 ranked JUCO receiver in the nation. And Greg Wilford, our freshman, who was teammates with John Johnson and Teron Francis, I suppose, who is just a dynamite slot type kid that can really, really run. I'll say this. I'm going to give the edge to Triplett here. I like him above everybody else for now. Even over Amoni, who's been in the system. You don't bring the number 1 JUCO guy in for him not to play. Then look, number 2 is going to play, but I think he'll probably start out of that group. Not necessarily so sure that's going to be the only group in our slot. Just don't believe that. Tight end is another weird one. Let's go to break really quick. We'll come right back and we'll break it down right after this one. Locked on West Virginia. All right. We're going to be talking about our friends, guys. We've got big friends to talk about here. And we haven't talked about them in a while. It's Mazda. This is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who know, there's more to the score that's once on the screen, guys. You gotcha. Because I'll just be honest, man. These remind us of what it's really like to raise the bar. It takes extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and I never quit. We put that same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. We took what it takes to get there, and that makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Mazda. All right, we back. I just wanted to get back to the list here. Tight ends. So he has Josh Sapp, number 1, Ryan Ward, number 2, Cam Ball, number 3, Cade Bush, number 4, Carter Zuliani, number 5, Sam Hamilton, number 6, Xavier Anderson, number 7. Can I just go ahead and do something? I'm going to take Carter Zuliani and put him down at number 7. I've been very vocal about him ever since West Virginia picked him up, that I don't know why they picked him up. Maybe someday with his size, because he's enormous. What is his size? Zuliani's 6'7", 254, something like that. So Zuliani could become an elite inline blocking tight end someday. I wouldn't be shocked to see that. But like outside of that, this year is a redshirt. What is he, a redshirt freshman or sophomore now? Redshirt freshman. Okay, so I don't see him seeing the field, and his high school tape is really bad as far as from a receiving standpoint. I don't ever see him being a receiving tight end ever, and I don't want to be harsh on anybody. And maybe you can use my words as fire you up, because I'm not a professional evaluator in any stretch of the imagination, but I just don't have him near the top, you know. Xavier Anderson's a freshman coming in. Sam Hamilton, same thing. Um, you know, I see them down there at 6 and 5. Cade Bush is another one, but I like his tape a lot too. But it's really the conversation is about the three, right? Josh Sapp, Ryan Ward, and Cam Ball. Well, right off the bat, you know Cam Ball is going to play a lot. And I would probably have Cam Ball potentially as your starter just because we run the ball so much. He may not be like I think you're probably going to play with two guys out there quite a bit. You're going to have one guy on the edge to block and Cam Ball, who's a very good blocker. And then Josh Stapp, who can also block for sure, but is a more receiving type. But I think Ryan Ward is a guy that's ready to take a step. I've got him at number 1 for now over Josh Sapp, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sapp overtook him either. It's just hard to find enough tape on Sapp to know exactly what his skill set looks like. But I mean, he does look like kind of like a running back type, like a CJ Donaldson. That's what he looks like. He's the same size as CJ. He's not big. He's only 6'2". For tight end. He's not a small guy, but I mean, in tight end, he is kind of undersized, more of your H-back type receiving guy that can really, he's low center of gravity that will block as well. So we'll see what happens with him. Left tackle, obviously, he's got Nick Cray, Cameron Griffin, Jonas Muya, and Aiden Woods. You know, I watched Cam Griffin play. I've got all 22 tape of Jacksonville State and FIU, and I've got Jacksonville State and Kennesaw State. It's the full game, every offensive snap from front, center, and left side, I think it is. So I can see, 3 different angles on every play. I don't think Cameron Griffin's a tackle at the Power 4 level. I mean, I think he's an inside guy. He played tackle a lot for Jack State, but he also played guard a lot for Jack State. I don't necessarily think he'll be a tackle, but I've been wrong before. I don't know if he's athletic enough to play at the Big 12 level there. Obviously, Cray's a starter. Maybe they'll have Griffin out at tackle, and maybe he will be. But why would he come here as a senior? And I mean, there's no route on the tackle side to playing time, I don't think, for him. There isn't guard. There's just a wide open battle. Left guard, he's got Amari Grayson, Wes King, Rhett Morris, and Cam Goforth. This is tough, like if it's I don't mind Cam at the last spot. Cam didn't go forth. I think he's got quite a bit to learn. Rhett Morris is much more polished, but he plays center. I got Rhett Morris as more of a center, but I mean, maybe they'll play him at guard. I think he'd be better at center. He's a leader. He plays at one of the bigger high schools in the country in Don Bosco, ranked high school program. Wes King and Amari Grayson at left guard is fine for me. Certainly, I think Amari Grayson is the winner there. If you go watch Amari Grayson on tape, he's not the biggest. He's 6'3", he's 310, but he's got great body positioning, great hips, great legs, great bend, good speed. He's a great player, and we're lucky to have Grayson for sure as a starter. He can play center. Grayson can. He can also play center. He can do it all on any of the interior spots. Landon Livingston at center is probably your starting center. I agree. 6'4", 293 too. He's a bigger center. Hopefully he takes a big step up this year. And then Josh Isosa, he's got at center. I don't know who else they'll have at center, but I imagine we'll have more than 2. Just my opinion. Right guard is Devin Vass, Philip Bowser, LaMarcus Dillard. Here's kind of where I'm wondering, like, do you move an Amari Grayson over to the right guard spot where he played at Jacksonville State a lot to give you more depth over there? I don't know. Maybe not Grayson, but King. Because right guard, if you're talking about Devin Vass's only competition is Philip Bowser and LaMarcus Dillard, I mean, I don't care who you put there in the room. Devin Vass, I think, is probably going to be your best or second best offensive lineman at times next year. He's 6'6", 308, and he is a very good player. He's not the best athlete. That's the only thing that people say about Vass. But his all-22 that I have of him is of Utah and one of Colorado. And, he dominated both games from start to finish, especially against Utah. I'll condense all the footage of him versus Utah up one day and let you guys see it. I've already put a couple clips out on X of him versus Utah. He just absolutely smacks him in the mouth all game. And against the front, we couldn't budge. So yeah, I mean, what an upgrade at right guard this year we have for Devin Vass. Good Lord. What an upgrade. And then here's the big one, right tackle. And I'll tell you what, man, if it's me, this is such a tough room, right? You got Kevin Brown, Karsten Cassidy, Malik Agbo, Deshaun Woods. That is going to breed one heck of a right tackle is going to fly out of there. You got to I've got Kevin Brown winning it by a nose over Karsten Cassidy, but I wouldn't be surprised if Karsten Cassidy played early and Kevin got his footing and then overtook it later even. But Karsten Cassidy was very good at UConn. And I'll say even Kevin Brown maybe he even starts over left tackle if he ends up being that good during camp. But he's typically a right tackle. But yeah, so Deshaun Woods though, man, he's another guy that I really like. The tackles are pretty good this year compared to what they've been, y'all. We've got upgraded. So don't have time to really get into the defense right now, but I will say defensive end wise, the defensive end room looks so much better than it did even a month ago with Ezekiel Durham Campbell at one of your spots, Harper Holloman, Wilnerson Telemack, who's going to be a guy that should come up and make a big impact. Darius Wiley, 6'7", 255, coming in from Hutchinson Community College. And Brandon Caesar, another guy that was a 4-star or close to 4 stars last year. That should be an interesting room. I'm hoping there's a lot of competition in that room that brings the best out of everybody. I don't know about Darius Wiley down at number 4, though. I mean, he's much more talented than that. So I'll have to think about it. But guys, thanks for being in here. I would love to do the whole list, but it seems like I've run out of time on it. So we'll go ahead and bounce out onto here. Hopefully you and yours are safe tonight. Obviously, there's still a good bit of the worst of the storm for some people are coming tonight. So we'll see what happens. If you run out of electricity or you go out, if your electric goes out, don't panic. Hopefully you prepared well. And I will be back tomorrow to talk to you guys as well. God willing, and the electric stays on for myself and everybody around here. And hopefully everybody's safe. I noticed somebody said they got a couple inches in Indiana, 12 inches or so. So hopefully everybody's safe there. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. And make sure to check out our Everydayer. As you know about the Everydayer deal we got going on, right? It's if you're still watching the program, you're probably a fan of the show, which means that you wouldn't mind checking out the Everydayer Club. We'll give it a shot. Locked On Podcasts with an S.com/Everydayer Club. That would mean a lot. And then last but not least, make sure you check out Locked On Big 12 with Direct Toll. He leads the conversation for one of America's most premier conferences in the Big 12. And he is just killing it over there. So make sure you're checking him out. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Link is in the chat for the Everydayer Club. I have about 3 inches of snow on the ground here, so we're doing okay, Mr. John. And I will see you guys tomorrow. We're out of here. Q Country Roads.